Hey everyone, it's your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have an incredible guest. We are going to talk about something that may not be new to y'all, but it's definitely significant, and I think we overlook it because we get on the hype of the viral train. Everybody wants to go viral. They want to go viral tomorrow. They want to take their website to the next level. They want to do that TikTok video, that Instagram video, that Facebook video that takes off. But we're missing some key things, and that's SEO. And I have found an incredible guest. Miss Melanie Gorman is the founder and chief strategist of Crownsville Media, an SEO and digital marketing agency that helps therapists, healers, and small business owners grow their thriving practices online. With a master's degree in counseling psychology herself and more than 2 decades of experience in mental health and digital publishing, Miss Melanie is here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage to help. And side note, I'm a little selfish myself because I get to question her and learn how I do these podcast interviews myself. So without further ado, help me welcome this incredible woman to the stage. She's backstage and I can't hold her back. It's like a lion in the cage and she is ready to roar and share on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. So help me welcome to the stage, Miss Melanie Gorman.
Hey Marcus, it's so good to be here.
It's so good to have you, Miss Melanie. Thank you again for sharing space and sharing your wisdom and making time for us. We are truly honored to have you here on the show. And I'm so glad, to our benefit, maybe to your detriment, that you said yes. But I'm so happy that you said yes. And so diving right in, I want to explore a little bit. I want to start with a curveball question because you clearly have an educated mind, a well-to-do mind. You could have done anything, right? Why did you enter, of all spaces, the mental health space, and now branching off and adding to the portfolio SEO strategies to help other mental health professionals and therapists and clinicians do well and succeed in SEO? Can you speak to that?
Sure. So, I kind of grew up like everybody else did, like an imperfect childhood and imperfect family. And, they all had the best of intentions, but, it was a bit of a mess there for a while. So, when I went to college, the psychology stuff was just really, I wanted to help people. Like I drank the Kool-Aid and I was like, man, if I could make a difference, if I could give back, if I have talents that I could share with the world and make the world a better place, like that's what I want to do. Right. I so want to be in that. I want that vibe in my life, like all the time. So I studied therapy and got a little help myself and healed up some of those old, wounds that I had. And along the way, I sort of realized like one, I think we're all sort of walking the path, like we're all in different places on the path, but mental health is something that, long before it was as kind of popular as it is today, it's just really the backbone of how people exist in their families and they do the best thing they can for their kids or their parents or even themselves, right? So I just wanted to be a part of that. So I studied therapy and I had some really interesting jobs along the way. I worked with some pretty chronically mentally ill clients for a while, and that was really meaningful. But I ended up getting into publishing, and really what I discovered was that I had an ability to have a bigger impact if I was helping the helpers. It's kind of how it all worked out. I had a funny job. I got a job working for John Gray, who wrote the book. You might remember this book called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And yeah, so I worked for John for like 8 years, like a long time. And I ran his website. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I learned along the way. And but he was like working for Santa Claus. Like he's just such a happy guy. Like he was so like, like you can figure these things out. Relationships seem complicated, but if you do your part, and you show up and you're authentic and you're honest and you own your stuff and like you make amends where you need to and you have your boundaries and you do the right stuff, like you really can have extraordinary relationships. And a lot of people flocked to him and wanted to be like him, but there was never going to be anybody like him. Like he was the first like really big breakout therapy book, right? So I realized that I could help all those people who were helping all those people. Like the ripple out of doing that kind of work was so powerful that I was hooked. And then my dad is a computer programmer, like old school computer programmer. He still works for the Affordable Care Act, and he's the guy in the back room that codes and does all that stuff. So I think in my DNA somewhere was some interest in technology. And like when I put those two worlds together, everything took off. Like it was just a game changer for me. So that's how I got into it.
Absolutely. So helping people, helping serve people, helping being kind to people, and then niching that and connecting that with technology brought you to how you can combine and help mental health professionals today integrate some unique tools and systems and processes into their business. So is that what you're still seeing in 2025? This is in 2025. Why are mental health practices still struggling to break through that barrier? Because although I think COVID exposed it, right? I think COVID
It
really
did.
got people re-engage with their mental, right? When
Yep.
everybody was stuck at home and the kids were not going to school or school was virtual, it
Yep.
really people who really started paying attention, like, oh my God, my this teacher has been telling me for months that my child is dyslexic, and now the child is home and I can see it front and center.
Oh yeah.
My child, it does have some touches of ADHD, or they may be on the spectrum. So what is it? Why is it we're still trying? Mental health practices haven't cracked that code yet. Why are they still struggling to figure this out? This
I
marketing
mean,
going on.
it's such a good question, right? I think some of it is because a lot of mental health practitioners want to do the work, not market their business, right? I think there's some basic, like, my skill set, my comfort zone, what I'm really good at is helping people. I understand that. I feel competent at that. You want me to build a website? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think that there's a little tech avoidance, and so much since the pandemic really does live online. And without a really good website that helps express like the services you offer, how you support people, and how they can connect with you, it's hard for people to even find you. And technology is complicated, right? So you, in 15 years ago, you could build a website and you would be like one of the only people with a website. 10 years ago, everyone was kind of getting a website. 7, 8 years ago, people were getting into social media and really, like picking up trying their hat at, Instagram or Facebook, really more Facebook than anything. And now there's like a lot of options. So marketing is complicated, and you need a website, you need a professional LinkedIn page, you need, as a therapist, to be on all of the directories where people look for what you offer. And that is a lot for people to take on, especially when it's not the area of their life they feel really competent at. And so there's some natural avoidance of it. So I've definitely experienced that. The total other side of the coin is that technology changes all the time. So people invest and, they'll spend money to build a website or get their Facebook going and do these things, only to find out that, whoops, something's changed. And keeping up with that is a in a non-therapy business, they have marketing people in a marketing department, and a therapist that's a solo practitioner doesn't have any of that. They're on their own, and they're kind of making their way and working independently, and it's a lot to have all of those skills, right? Because I think about anything I take on, like I have a lot of skills in this area, but when it was the pandemic and someone said, go teach your kids, I remember feeling very incompetent, right? Like I did not know what I was doing, right? So I think there's a part of it where it's a lot more than people expect it to be. And that's surprising. Like they think, oh, well, I did all this schooling and I should be able to hang my shingle out and get full paying clients. And it doesn't work quite that seamlessly. And grad schools don't teach any of this. Like you get zero business education when you go to school to become a therapist. And so it's
Are you
kind of a weird
serious?
line. Nothing.
Are you
Nothing.
serious?
Right. I'm
That
dead
seems
serious.
that seems like the crucifix, right? That should be included. If I mean, because what I hear is the standard is, oh, one day you'll open your own practice. But okay,
Right.
then you need to incorporate some business acumen into me starting my own practice. Don't just tell me I'm going to open my own practice one day. But you're saying therapists don't get that
There's
side of the coin.
nothing. No, I mean, and here's a personal story. Like when I was in grad school, it was my last semester of school. And I went to my career counseling teacher, who I just assumed was going to be the person to teach this to me. And I said, hey, like I'm $40,000 in debt, like getting a degree. Like, how do I got to pay this back? Like, how do I do it? And she kind of looked at me like I had three heads. And she was like, I don't know what you mean. And I said, no, let me ask a better question. Like, I need to figure out how to build a business because that's how I'm going to be a professional. And how do I do that? And she said, we don't do that here. We're academics. We do research, right? But we don't do that. And when and I remember thinking like, that's really a problem because therapy is something to be valued. Like our mental health is something, like if we really put a price on our mental health, like it is a premium in our lives because everything about how we exist in our day to day, in our communication with our children, our partners, our spouse, with our family and our parents, with our coworkers, our colleagues, strangers, like people we just meet, all comes down to what's going on up here. Like, how do we feel about ourselves? How do we see ourselves? Like, what's our do we value ourselves? Like, if we don't value our own mental health, it's really hard to be the person we want to be on the planet. So if that isn't seen as something that's valuable to get educated in, and then valuable once you are educated to like offer as a service, there's something completely mismatched about that. So I always knew I was going to help therapists build practices. I didn't quite know how, but that always stuck with me as a moment where I thought, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is absurd even. So,
Absolutely. So what'd you do
mhm,
when you got that unexpected feedback, the not so
yeah.
helpful feedback from that professor that you I don't know if you still admire them, but I would stop admiring them at the
I
end of
did.
that conversation. But what'd you
Yeah.
do? What'd you do to after that when you asked a question, a very good question, a very
Yeah.
noteworthy question, and they gave you nothing? What'd you do?
I asked my peers. When I was in grad school, I went to graduate school, ready for this, in 1996, 94, sorry, 1994. And so I was one of the youngest people in my graduate school group. Like everybody was sort of like a generation above me, right? So if I was 24, 22, 24, they were all 34, right? 35. So they had already had 10 years working. So I went to those folks that I learned to trust and we started talking about how to do it. Those conversations led to how they were learning how to do it because most of the people that were in their second career learning to be a therapist wanted this private practice, wanted to be able to build a business. So we started that, networking and talking, which is kind of how a lot of this all happens for most of us. Like we have an interest in an area of our field and you can't get the information on ChatGPT. So you talk to people, right? You find other folks in the industry. So I started that way, and I made some pretty good friends that had some good insights and good advice. And then people that had been in the space for years. I had someone I talked to that had been a therapist for, 40 years and they gave some really good advice. So that's how I started.
Absolutely. Why not go the traditional route and work for a company or work for someone else who already had an established practice or established business? Why go straight into I want to own my own practice? Because you could have went there too.
Well, I did work for an agency, right? So
Okay.
I definitely did work. One of the things, back in the day was we certainly didn't make a lot of money, right? So I had multiple jobs, like a lot of people. And I had an
Hmm.
agency job during the day. But a lot of, when you're a new therapist, a lot of what you go through is you work with underprivileged groups. And so you're doing a lot of work that is kind of building up your training and you're learning about different diagnoses and how they present and how people are coping, and you're learning a lot about sort of the mental health system in the different counties you might work in or even in the different state. So like I live in Maryland, and so here you might work in Maryland, DC, or Virginia because it's all really closely located together. But if you lived in like California, like you wouldn't cross state lines obviously. So I definitely had the agency experience to try and learn that, and learned very quickly it wasn't enough, right? I wanted to be able to do something else. And so I did both things for a period of time. And then I had a period of time where I got out of it, right? Because I found the therapy field that there were things about it that weren't a great fit for what I wanted to do. Like that's how I dovetailed into the job with John Gray. And that was a really, really positive experience for many years of my life. So, my career path had a lot of ping pong moments, where it was like I thought I was going one direction and then I did something different. After John, I worked for a publishing company in New York City for 12 years, and that was an incredible learning experience. And it was all of that that led me to actually start my own business. So it took me a minute to actually figure it all out.
Absolutely. I told y'all, we got the grand poobah of mental health therapy and marketing, advertising, SEO strategy. So this is dope. Melanie Gorman, y'all. I need your help on the definition for those that don't understand what SEO is, and I need a little bit of background for you to share, if you can share, so people can understand what it is and the gravity of influence it holds on my business, on my mental health practice, on
Mhm.
my and growing that practice to the level that I am trying to grow to. Can you speak on that?
Great,
What?
great question. Yeah. So I explain SEO as it's how strangers look for you, right? So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And it really is how you get the right words on the page. So that could be a blog or a landing page on your website, and how you orient them on the page to be able to answer whatever the page is about. Inside of SEO, there's something called keywords. Keywords are phrases that people, the public, use to find you. And traditional SEO is really looking at where there's the greatest volume of search, like more people look for it this way over that way. And then you write your pages or articles in a way that those words are surfaced and Google sees them. And then Google understands, oh, the way that you carried this phrase through the page identifies that that is what the page is really all about. So SEO has had a huge heyday, especially in this last year, like with all the AI stuff. And a lot of the traditional stuff is exactly the same, hasn't changed whatsoever. So you still, when you're doing SEO, need to understand how strangers look for whatever you're offering or selling versus your brand, which is really how you talk about yourself, right? Like the name of your podcast or the name of my business. These are branded names and they're important. Like Nike's important, right? We know Nike, but most of our brands aren't quite that big. So if we want strangers to be able to go to the internet and to look for us and discover us and find us, we have to talk their language. And you do that by identifying the key phrases that match up with how your customers and your perspective, like your ideal customer, looks for you. And it's a lot of math, and it's a lot of really kind of understanding your niche and like what makes you special, what makes you unique. So like for example, in the therapy space, like most therapists offer depression and anxiety support. So they're an anxiety therapist or an anxiety counselor. There's not a lot of ways to say it. But within that, they may have lots of different expertise. They may work with a different population. It could be ages, it could be genders, it could be location, it could be relationship status, single, married, coupled, like there's all that kind of stuff. So you diversify your offerings based on what you do and then the niche. And the good news is that lends itself really, really nicely to AI, because what's happened with SEO is that SEO has gone from us using Google and putting 3-4 word queries in to like a chat GPT where the average query is like 23 or 24 words. So the more niched you are, the more authentic you are to your business, your brand, and exactly what you do. And it operates effectively the same way. A consumer goes to Google, or they go to ChatGPT and they put in whatever they're looking for. If your pages are written in a way where you have the right keyword and it's carried through the page, then you're going to be discoverable. So there's a lot of other variables that go into it, but like the basics of SEO are really about understanding how the world looks for what you're offering without your input. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not colored by how you want to sell it or what you want to call it. It's really about the consumer and how they behave and what they want to find.
Absolutely. So, is there a way in your experience, is there a way for me to supersede that Google sponsored ad, right? Because sponsored
Wow.
means that this
Yeah.
organization is paying it. Can over time, I don't think it's an overnight success type of thing, but with good SEO, with good optimization of my website, could one day my business grow to a level where I don't need to boost or sponsor my
Yeah.
webpage anymore? Just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. So sponsored stuff is exactly what you're saying, the Google ads. And when you look at like on your computer, like when you look at them, you'll see 3 or 4 sponsored ads, which are people like me and you paying for that content to show all the way at the top. In an SEO world, the ideal, the thing you're going after is to not need ads over time, right? So organic SEO, when it's done right, should reduce your dependency on advertising because you're building up all your content, you're writing content around the services you sell that are specific to questions that people ask on that buyer's journey. So for example, if you're selling, like if I'm selling anxiety therapy, there may be lots of little questions that people are curious about, like symptoms or how long does it last, or should I take medication, or what if my wife has got anxiety? How do I support her? Like all of these questions lead people into the organic process of saying, okay, so I understand what it is and how it works and what's going on. I don't know how to help her. When you reach, there's kind of like an inflection point, there's an inflection point that happens. And what that is the client can no longer get their answers from search. They need a person, right? And that's the moment when you want to be discovered. When the person has done all their searching and they're like, I call uncle, I can't do this myself. I need to hire someone or get professional help. And so that's where you want to be discovered. When you write enough articles that lead to that place, you no longer need ads, right? You'll need to keep writing articles over time, but you won't need ads in the same way at all.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That's huge.
Mhm.
Because I think every I 'cause I think I remember a friend of mine, he was saying that he buys businesses, and one business that he bought, the guy, he was spending a lot of money on ads, right? And that's what that fed into the idea that this business was worth XYZ dollars. And
Yep.
so he said he looked at it, when he looked at the business to buy it, he said, okay, I can immediately create cash flow because this company had been operating for 15 years, 20 years, and I'm just going to cut all this money being spent on ads to increase my bottom number. And as soon as and he bought the business, and then he did that, and then the company fell into nothing. So
Yeah.
I think the gentleman was spending like $20,000 a month in ads,
Yeah.
and but unfortunately, because he had been doing that so long, he never worked. I'm assuming, based off of this conversation, I'm assuming he never worked on his website optimization. He always just got into that loophole: is I need to spend XYZ dollars so I can bring in XYZ clients every month, so that I
Yep.
can make $500,000 every month, or whatever that number
And
is that he
people
was
get
trying to
trapped in
maintain.
that. Yeah, and they get trapped in that because all of a sudden your like lifetime value of your client, like so you're looking at your monthly ad spend and you're thinking, okay, well I spent, two, three, $4,000 and I brought in this. And you have to pay attention to let me say it differently, you have to backfill that. If you backfill that with content that organically is bringing people who are qualified leads to your website, eventually, minimally, you should be able to reduce it, right? Because you're getting leads from other places that are aligned with your mission, your value, your ideal client, right? They're looking for what you sell, right? They don't need to be convinced to buy it. And you're learning how to best your competition, which is another thing you have to do. Like inside of SEO, I spend a lot of time thinking through like who's doing it better than this client, like who's got one leg up, and where is that leg coming from? Is it, they have more Google business reviews or Yelp reviews, right? Or their rating with the Better Business Bureau is higher. Therapists can't ask for reviews, right? So it's unethical for therapists to do that. So that's a whole other thing. So are they in enough directories? Directories might cost you $200 a year versus $2,000 a month, right? So there's a lot of ways to think through a strategy to get off of ads, but it's not like a business can stop. Like, you can't take your foot off the gas. Like, you still have to continue producing content, or else, because Google has something in their algorithm around freshness. So if you write for a period of time and then quit, it'll plateau, but then it'll tank, right? So there's all these little things inside of it, but I'm sorry your friend went through that. That's a real bummer, right? To
Yeah.
think you're getting a great lead and then it's not.
It is, and I appreciate your clarity on that, and that's huge. And I remember utilizing SEO in the past, and it was SEO and it was something else, and I was paying for these two things consecutively. And one of the SEO, I saw the traction, right? I saw the website getting more views through the analytics of the website. So I
Yep.
was like, okay, this SEO thing, I think it's working. But then there was this other gentleman I stopped paying for because he was saying backlinks. Like, there's
Yeah.
backlinks or there's back channels that I can't see. But
Mm-hmm.
he's like, this is necessary too, because and the way I understood it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is when you sometimes when you go to a website or the newspaper or someone else's website, there's these little pop-ups all over
Mm-hmm.
that website, and that's ad space. That's ad space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some other agency is putting links on a popular website to draw people to your website. And that's the best way I understood it, is he's
Yeah.
creating these back channels on other platforms to draw
Mm-hmm.
people to look for my content. But
Yeah.
I ultimately I stopped paying for the guy because I couldn't
Yeah.
see his work. And if I can't see it, I don't want to pay for it anymore. SEO I could see. But
Yeah. I
what do
can't
you
blame you there.
what can you speak to that? Was I way off, or what is
No.
backlinks a fake thing? Is that real, or what?
So it's complicated. Okay, so backlinks are exactly what you said. So it's a link from another website coming to your site. And 10, 15 years ago, it was the big rage because it was an indication to Google that some other site valued you. And so much about what goes on online is about trust metrics. Trust metrics are things where somebody else is kind of vouching for you, right? So if you have a link on Forbes or Inc., right, and you're a business and it's a business topic and they're linking to your website where you're sending or you're selling business tools, well, there's some connection between that makes sense. Unfortunately, link building has become this crazy industry where you'll get, and all of us get this proposition all the time by companies that will say things like, I have backlink opportunities from DR, domain authority, domain authority, reputable sites is what that really means, where they're going to send a link to your website from their website, and it's going to somehow magically, infuse trust and value in your site. So it doesn't work that way.
Mm,
Everything about link metrics has turned into trust metrics. Trust metrics are measured based on people's behavior. So there's a really great book out there by Gary Vaynerchuk. He is, you may see him online, but it's his latest book if anybody wants to get it. And what he talks about is the TikTokification of link building. And really what that's about is when you give your time and attention to something, you care about it. Like, if you watch a video on TikTok and you give it the full time of the video, you must really be interested in what that person was saying. Well, when you do that on something like YouTube, you could not just be spending a minute, you could be spending 5, 10, 15, an hour, 2 hours on a topic. That is generously giving your time, and it's telling people that you really care about something. When you have links from other sites coming into your site, and that person comes to your site and they spend a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes reading a blog article, for example, well, they must really care about it if they're going to actually read it.
mhm,
Where this whole link building thing has gone wrong is that there's all of these people out there selling links, and you get 2, 3, 4 seconds. You'll get the click, you'll get no clicks. And if you get clicks, you'll get 2 or 3 and 4 seconds. That's the opposite of a positive trust metric. That's telling Google the link from Bob's site to your site that consumer didn't really care. And worse off, that topic that you wrote about isn't of interest to him. So maybe you should be demoted. So it actually works against you when you have links coming in to your website that don't actually spend time on the site. And you can measure all this stuff in Google Analytics, like you mentioned that before. So there is positive traction from links from trusted sites when that person comes and spends an ample amount of time. And it really does kind of come down to human behavior. So imagine you had a link on Podmatch where you were talking about how, your podcast, and you were talking about how great it is and what your preferred audience was. And people like me said, oh, I'm interested in learning more about this. And so I click the link and I come to your site and I spend 2-3 minutes reading about your podcast and what you're doing and what your mission and your values are. That tells Google a link from Podmatch is a very valuable thing, and that you got someone like me to come and spend a couple of minutes. That's a good link. The problem is it's, like 1 to 100, right? You'll get one link that's great and 99 that are junk. So you have to be really, really careful about it. And, it's not natural to have 50 links coming into your website from 50 different websites where nobody spends any time. Google knows that kind of behavior is junky and that people are sort of spamming the system to do that. And so it's scrutinized very highly and it's not rewarded. So the last thing I'll say about this is this. In the world of AI, linking is something that's really being looked at again. So if you were to take your website, and anybody can do this, take your website and go to ChatGPT. So there's 4 big AI tools. Gemini and ChatGPT are the 2 big ones. So if you go to either of those and you put your website in and say, do a deep look at my website and tell me who is linking to me, right? You can write this out. There's no perfect prompt for this. You can just write it in conversational style. Chat and Gemini are going to understand what you're asking for. And what you're really looking for are, what are the links that are coming in that are facts about your website? So if you have a link coming in from Facebook, which you should, everybody should have a Facebook page, not because we should all do Facebook, but because Facebook has high reputation inside of Google, and a link in is usually a valuable source, right? So when you do this look on your website, you'll get a sense of what is linking to me that's positive or negative. And you'll start to understand where the reputation that you have is coming from, right? So when people rely on link building, if you've got 99 junk links and 1 great one, there's things people like me can do to help kind of demote the junky ones and help you get more of the good ones. But it's kind of like writing articles. It's one at a time. It's a bit of a slower process. There's more that can be done on local SEO. Like I have an ice cream store and people in 10-mile radius are coming to my ice cream store. Like you can do a little bit more with that versus a totally virtual business. But so they matter, links still matter, but in no way is that whole industry of like link farming valuable in any way. And anybody watching, if you take anything from this little thing I've said, don't do it. Like it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of your money. Like
I was just about to ask. So I wasn't wrong
nope.
and is it true what he was saying? He was saying there's no way for me to show it to you. I can't show it to you. I just do it for
No,
creating
you
these.
could see it. So he may not. So really, what he was saying is the only way he could show it to you is if people actually clicked the link and went to your website. If they did that in your Google Analytics report under your acquisitions, you'd be able to see where they came from. So the acquisition report is basically going to tell you people came from Google, they came from social. It'll tell you like where they came from. If you have a link on a site and nobody clicks it, it's like it doesn't exist. So that's what he was falling back on. And potentially, if nobody was clicking it, he really couldn't show it to you. Right. So he could give you the website where the link lived and you could go check for it. Like that's something I've done for people. Right. But that's the extent of it.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
wasn't crazy. I thank you for making me feel like I wasn't crazy, because he really made me feel like, sir, this is gonna work. I've been doing it for 10, 20 plus years. All
Yeah.
these, and I'm like, if you can say that, then you should be able to prove it. You should be
All
I
of
sh-
it, everything with SEO is provable. Like nothing is, and this is sort of like unfortunate about the industry, but if somebody can't show you what they're doing, don't follow them, right? Because it's not, and I don't have to worry that if I showed you something, somehow I'm working myself out of a job, right? Because that's the other side of it. People are like, oh, I got all these secrets I can't tell you. No, that's junk. They can show you what they're doing. Part of my thing with my clients is I actually ask them, do you want me to teach you or do you want me to just tell you? Because some people are like, please don't bother. That just overwhelms me. I don't want to know. But other clients are like, help me learn how to write this article myself so I'm not so dependent on everybody else to help me find a client. And I think that's something valuable in that. So I teach people all the time.
It's very valuable. So
Yeah.
I'm doing something backstage. I'm doing it backstage. I don't have ChatGPT and I don't have Gemini. I have Copilot
Okay.
because of the computer I'm on. So I was doing it on the gentlemanstylepodcast.com. I'm gonna plug
Uh-huh.
myself for those watching this. www.gentlemanstylepodcast.com. And you said type in do a deep look at my website, and then I typed in my website and tell me the links that are linking to my website. Is that what you said?
Tell me the links that are coming into my website.
That are coming
Into
into
my
my
website.
website. Okay. Into my website. And I'm purposely not sharing my screen so I don't get embarrassed. Okay. So here we go. Okay, I can share this now. So let me share this.
Okay, good.
So we could do this on air and everybody could see.
I
So
love it.
share. I want to share my whole screen. I think I can do it. I should be able to do it. My entire screen. There we go. Also share my audio. There we go. So you all can see this. Wow, that's terrible. Look at that. That is awful. But let me bring up my Copilot. So this is what Copilot said. Can you see that? Can everybody
I
see
do.
that?
Yeah.
So this is Copilot. This is my version of ChatGPT. So I typed it in at the top. Do a deep look at my website, Gentleman Style Pocket, and tell me the links that
Interesting.
are coming into my website. Thanks for your request, Marcus. While I can explore and summarize public content for your site, I don't have direct access to your website's backlink profile or analytics or data. So boo. To get a deep look at the inbound link, backlinks pointed to Gentleman Style Podcast, you'll need to use specialized SEO tools, which I'm sure my guest already has, and she already knew this. So shame on me.
No, well, and it might be Copilot, right? So you can get some of the backlink stuff inside of like, can I share my screen and I'll show you what I see?
You should be able to. I don't see why not.
Let me see. Let me see if I can
Oh
do it.
snap!
Let's do it. I love it.
This is the exclusive.
Let's
So
do this. I'll show it to you in a couple different ways.
okay, this
Right.
is
So your website, thegentlemanstylepodcast.com.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm spelling it wrong.
Let me
The
type.
gentleman style or just gentleman style?
I'll type it here in the chat for you.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you.
I just sent it in a private chat.
Fabulous. Oh, bueno. Excellent. Okay. All right. So where'd you go? Let's share. Oh, this is fun. I love show and tell.
Ah.
Share screen.
Now watch me get embarrassed. You have no backlinks.
You're so funny. Let's see. Okay, so entire screen. I'm doing the same thing you just did. Can you see me? Is it working?
It is.
Oh, there's all that. Okay. So can you see this? Do you see this SEMrush screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Okay. So here's your beautiful website.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
We spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I totally hear that. Okay. So this is your whole SEO profile, right? So, oh, interesting. Gentleman style. Did I copy it wrong? Maybe I copied it wrong. Now you're seeing my email. Definitely don't want to see that.
Looks like mine.
It's like, do you feel like you're like in the middle of thoughts and you're like, okay, so I'm gonna, okay. So your backlinks, you have 91 backlinks coming into your website with 74 different unique websites. So we can look at those. SEMrush is this paid tool that every SEO person has to have a paid tool because there's no SEO tools that are free. Like even Google, like the ad planner tool is a range. Like it'll say 10 to 10,000 people look for this keyword every month. It's sort of bogus and it doesn't work. So this is the tool that actually does a better job of showing stuff. So you have, these are your referring domains over the last year. So you've had more domains come in, and this up and down. So the blue is what you've won, like new stuff, and the orange is stuff that you've lost or that's dropped off. This is normal. Like you'll see up and down with backlinks all the time, right? So
No
if we
one's
look at
ever a
the,
straight line and to the right. No one's
no,
ever okay.
no one. I mean, I could show you mine. No one's over a straight line. So here's what the backlinks look like. So you have a link into your website from Spotify. You have a link from Podbean. You have something called businessshoop.info, Buzzsprout, right? Podcast stuff, tech diva biztalks.com, right? So you see, you get all these different things, right? All aged domains. This is probably something that's a little bogus. It's normal to have stuff that's kind of scraped and part of it, and it's not hurting your website in any way to have this. But you do have 74 different websites that are linking to your site. So what you would do to kind of compare that to your traffic is you would pull up your Google Analytics, and I'll just show you guys this so you can see this. So what you would do is you would go into your Google Analytics, and I'll show you mine, right? Or I'll just show whatever comes up here. So you would look at, on the right-hand side under reports, there's something called acquisition and the overview. So the acquisition overview teaches you where things come from, right? So in this client's case, they have direct, which is, it went right to them. They have organic search, so Google search. Referral is a link that was sent to them. So they had a link on somebody else's site and it came to them. Emails, email marketing. Organic social is just somebody on Facebook found them. You see things called unassigned. It's over here as well. Unassigned has to deal with, there's no cookie attached. Like, you know how you'll get those things when you go to a website that's like, this site has cookies, accept the cookie policy. Not everybody does it. So you'll have unassigned stuff. And then you can even dig in a little deeper. Like, so this site had 1,400 clicks from Google, 95 from Bing, 83 from Active Campaign, which is their newsletter, 20 from ChatGPT, right? 11 from DuckDuckGo. So you can start to get a sense of, if you combine those two things together, like where people are coming from. So to answer that, question, he totally could have showed you if he wanted to.
I told y'all that was incredible. That was incredible. And so I want to piggyback off of what you said earlier. There are clients that want to be taught this by you and your company. But do you also do this at a paid rate for companies as well? Like, hey, I want to keep you on retainer. I want you to just do this and help me grow my page.
Yeah, I mean, so we do both. A lot of clients will build websites for them, and then afterwards, you kind of build a website and then it's time to market, right? So it's my analogy is like, companies coming, we got to clean up the house, right? And then let's go out and invite them over, right? So that's sort of how I think about it. And the marketing stuff can take different angles. Like we talked before about advertising, like that's one thing, blogging is another. So we do all of this for people with their support. I really am a big believer that your voice has to be present in what we're doing. So if we're writing blogs for a client, for example, we will do interviews with them over the time we get to know them, get their voice, like we understand their ideal client, their point of view, what they're selling. And then it's easy to write blogs, and we have a back and forth. Like we'll write a blog, we'll kick it back to you. You can give us edits and notes, and then it goes live. We have other clients that want to learn how to do it. So we'll do like SEO outlines where we do all the technical, like here's the keyword and how the article needs to be laid out. You go write it, and then we can edit and publish, right? Any version of that can work. And everybody's a little different, and it can be seasonal. We have some clients that, like right now, everybody is super busy. right? So, with school going back and people coming off a summer holiday and all that stuff, like a lot of people are like, can you just handle this for us, right? And then they'll come back in like October or November, they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to do something else. So we do all of that.
I love it. I love it. You all can benefit from this great mind, this incredible mind. How many people are on your team? How many people are
So
part of your
there's
organization?
7 people on our team.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
So
small and it's kind of boutiquey, right? In the sense that everybody gets a lot of one-on-one attention. So, and I've done that on purpose because I really like working with people. I want to work with people that I really want to work with, right? You know what I
are,
mean? Like,
are
you're
you
at that
accepting
point.
new clients? Are you
I am.
accepting? You
I
are
am
taking new
accepting
clients.
new clients. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you're not
Maybe
at
we're actually
capacity. You're not. You're not.
no.
You're not.
No, we're not at capacity. And part of that's because a big part of my business is building websites for people. Right. And so websites are, could be a couple months and then, kind of people turn out. So, and for website capacity, we probably have 10 or 12 website projects going at all times. So, that's how we are.
Do you also make recommendations for mental health practices or therapies or yoga instructors? Do you also recommend like, hey, you should be allocating some funds towards that sponsored until this traffic catches up or until these directories start
Oh, yeah.
listing you? Oh, so you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So you're not just SEO optimization. You
No, no,
also
no.
are on um, the other side of the fence. So you want to help grow in all aspects. It sounds like the
Yeah.
more the merrier, right? More isn't necessarily, unless you're talking about backlinks,
Yeah.
more isn't necessarily bad. We just want quality connections, quality directories, quality listings so
Yeah.
that it's generating good across the board. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think in terms of like the Google Ad stuff, a lot of clients, like here's an example. So, new client that's working with us, she has a psychiatric nursing practice, right? So she sees, patients in a 10-mile radius from her office, and she has multiple practitioners working for her, but she just brought on 2 or 3 people that she needs to get full, right? So we'll do ads to help her fill up those people's caseloads while the referral network naturally falls in, right? Because once you have a good doctor, most people are going back every 6 months or once a year or when they need their meds refilled, right? So every business is a little different in terms of like where people need new individual clients versus where there's repeat business that's naturally flowing through their process. So we use ads to supplement when we need to, and then we get people off as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh my gosh! So I feel like I have the grand poobah of SEO optimization, which justifiably so. This is a wealth of knowledge. I wish I had found you years ago
Mm.
to help me with this project and these backlink experts, and you could I don't know supervise them and say, hey, stop it, knock it off. What you doing? You
Knock
putting
it
them
off, right?
yeah, right.
Totally.
Why is there backlinks on OnlyFans? Right. What's the weirdest? Have you ever found anything crazy like that? Like you do what you do, your company, your team does what they do, and they're saying, listen, you're getting backlinks from these weird sites that
Yes.
are like you said, they're unassigned, or listen, you got a lot of OnlyFans content that is backlog, like anything like that. What's the weirdest thing you've seen when you've optimized a website
I
for?
mean, you will get backlinks from all over the world,
Oh
right? You'll
wow.
find sites, in India or Pakistan that have scraped everything on your website, right? I had a website once where their entire website was stolen, reproduced in a different country, and we had to go and when that happens, you go petition at the host level and you basically say they stole my stuff, pull it down, right? So I've definitely seen things like that. I don't know, like a lot of people right now they're using ChatGPT to write every piece of content on their website, hoping that they can get lots out there quickly without really thinking about how badly it's written, right? And so that's never fun for people. So there's been a lot of crazy stories.
Wow, 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 wow. This is huge. Do you think so? So you can't control this. This is not a controllable thing where people are
No,
scraping your websites. You can't control. All you
no,
can do is like, hey, this is a thing. And like you said, I think you said it earlier, you can
yeah.
decrease it, but you can't necessarily get rid of it.
You could do something called disavow. I have a client that has 2.5 million backlinks. Okay. It's insane, right? So she's a therapist that wrote a book. The book did really well, right? And she's linked to from all over. But 2.5 million backlinks from sites that have so domain authority is how trustworthy your website is. And it's like a lot of different variables go into it, but higher domain authority is better than lower domain authority. And you have a number for your website. All of us do. So she's a very trustworthy person and her site is trusted by Google. But those 2.5 million backlinks, like there's, when I was looking at this the other day, there were 400,000 that we needed to like disavow, which is basically saying we don't authorize this, right? So don't give any credibility to it. So that's a project that is sitting in front of our team to finish. So you find that stuff, and all you can really do is just say, this isn't something I authorize. And Google's fine with that. Like you don't have to do some big, gigantic project. You don't have to do some big, gigantic project. You really just have to like acknowledge it, right? And when you go through that process, you can fix it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How does changing or rebranding hurt your SEO? How does that
Okay.
affect someone who's trying to pivot? Like
Mhm.
COVID-19 caused a lot of businesses. Like I can imagine I'm a healer and that
Yeah.
requires me to some degree to be in person. And now I need to pivot to now I'm a virtual healer, or I get a contract with Peloton and now I can do my healing work through Peloton video chat.
Yep.
But how
Yep.
does that hurt my optimization when it comes to SEO?
Well, the big thing is don't change your domain. Okay. So the biggest thing that's going to hurt you is if you go from like melaniegorman.com to whatever my brand name is, you start at zero. And that's something people don't understand. SEO doesn't move from domain to domain, even if you're the same person. So that's the really big first thing. But you can repivot and rework your website anytime you want to. You have to use, Google Search Console is another free Google tool that will give you a really good understanding of how Google knows what your business is all about. I had a client during the pandemic. She was an energy healer, and she had previously written a bunch of content that talked about essential oils, right? So she had done a bunch of content about essential oils, and it had been picked up, and Google really liked the content. When she pivoted and really just wanted to do energy healing, that content, because Google really liked it, stuck. And it was skewing her new rebrand in a way that was preventing Google from really understanding that she was an energy healer. So we had to delete it. So the net of it was we had to go into her website and delete the content that was pulling Google in the wrong direction. So we actually do projects for people called where we kind of look at the whole inventory of your website. What do we need to keep? What do we need to delete? Right? And what should we refurbish? And refurbishing is reworking old content and making it stronger. And we do that all the time, right? Because if you have a great blog and it's on point for what you do or answering a question or whatever, like you shouldn't delete it if it's still serving you, but you do need to update it. Remember, I said a little while ago about the freshness thing. So the
Yes.
metric of freshness. So freshness is just how new it is. And with AI and so much content, like 76% of the content produced in the last 12 months was written by AI, which means more content is being written and people are writing content faster. Now, that's not solo therapy practitioners writing a lot, that's businesses writing a lot. So when, and it has an impact on the inventory that's online and what Google has to choose from. So you really do have to get to a place where you look at your content, evaluate it. I have my clients do this every single year. Like once a year, we'll go through and say, all right, you have 75 blogs, right? How many are still bringing you traffic? How many are still on point, not for the brand? How many are old and obsolete and pulling you in the wrong direction? Get rid of them, like delete them. And you do a redirect, like there's things you do. You don't just pull them offline. But there's a way that you can really take ownership of your business. And if you want to do a rebrand, that's a good time to do it because you're able to kind of steer the ship. And if you're not doing a rebrand, but you want to just keep going in the right direction, it's good to like evaluate what you have out there and how Google sees you. And then you can make sure you're still going in the right direction. Does that kind of make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to get connected to Miss Melanie Gorman and her company. They're changing lives, they're changing businesses. So this is a wealth of knowledge, and this is what 20 plus years of SEO branding strategy. I don't think I've ever gotten such a detailed breakdown of SEO, and I think businesses, mental health practices, yoga instructors, all the things where mental health, what she shared earlier on, is on the rise,
Yeah,
and the problem is connecting people who are seeking your services and finding practitioners, those practitioners who can help. Is the line that she's fixing, the bridge that she's helping bridge, connecting clients needing your services. I see it all the time, right? I hear it all the time, like, oh, I can't, like you just said, she has two new practitioners and she's trying to fill their caseloads up, but getting those clients to find you is the key,
that's
right?
right.
And there's a market for everybody, there's a market for everything, and so you are bridging a huge gap. And I just want to commend you for what you're doing and say thank you for what you're doing. Can you share some directories? What are some good directories to list my mental health practice
Mhm.
on for?
So you want to understand your niche, like, or your niche, right? So, and really by that, I'm saying, like, what is your unique expertise, right? So what makes you the absolute right person to be the therapist for someone? Like, what are the pain points that person's having? There are directories out there for therapists. There's that do all kinds of different things. So there's directories that are specific to religions or specific to marital status or LGBTQ, right? So there's all kinds of different directories. The big one is, of course, Psychology Today. Everybody should be on Psychology Today. You can validate your membership to Psychology Today in Google Analytics, and you'll see traffic coming over. There's a way people bypass your website altogether on Psychology Today because all of your content is listed. So you're going to do your photos and how you see clients and what you charge and do you take insurance. It's all listed up there. So some people are going to say, oh, I found you and I don't even need to go to your website, which is great. And they will help you see how beneficial that directory is. Like, they give you reports and then you can see, like, you got however many phone calls or however many links to your website. So directories are a really important piece of the puzzle for therapists and mental health people. But there's directories for coaches and for yoga practitioners, for energy work. Like, there's different directories out there. You want to find them. But that's not enough. You also want to have a Google My Business page, and that's a free service anybody can get. So, Google My Business, if you just look it up, there's a way you can list your practice with your description of your service and photos of your office. If you do virtual stuff, you can still have one. There's a way that you can build it and either choose, like, I have a home office, right? And I bought my house, I don't know, 20 years ago, something, a long time ago. And so my address is already out there. So for the whole time that I've run my business, I have had a Google My Business listing because this is where I see people. This is how I work with people. So, and when you have that, you get branch into other kinds of directories like the Better Business Bureau or the Chamber of Commerce or the Yellow Pages. Anybody that has a brick and mortar where people drive to your office, you really need a Google My Business because you can connect your name, address, phone number, and email to the mapping services that feed up to Google's map. So, like, we all use Waze to get places. Waze is fed by Google Maps, right? So if you get it right, it's easier for people to find you. And that's the name of the game if you have a brick and mortar where people are coming to see you in person. And virtually, you can still list your services and then still get into those places like the Chamber or the, Yelp or whatever. And all of these things validate your business. They validate your website, your location, your service hours, your services to people who are looking online. And that is used in AI. So it's really important directory wise to think beyond just the niche directory for therapy or yoga or life coaching services and to get out of that into the bigger, kind of directory market so people can find you and then all of these validated facts about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of you is out there, and it's proven to be accurate. And that's how trust in Google's mind is formed. And we should all be doing this. All of us should be doing this, because it just simplifies how people find you. And that's what we want. We want people to find us, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And that's huge. This is good. I didn't even know about the Google Go Find Me page. I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't even know that was available to us as an option as practitioners to market,
Yep,
and another resource, another tool. Miss Gorman, y'all, laying down the tracks, laying down the knowledge, laying down the wisdom. You shared a earlier, you debunked an earlier myth, right? Where you talked about, hey, backlinks can be a lie. You didn't debunk it, but backlinks can be a lie, but you can always show proof of your work. What's
that's right.
another big myth that SEO agencies tell their clients that you can debunk for us today? What's another lie or myth that other agencies that
Great question. The visibility stuff is all like covers more than just backlinks. You should be able to see what they're doing on your website, and like whatever that is. If somebody is, let's say they're restructuring a landing page for you, and they're doing keyword research for you, you should be able to know what that keyword is and see it on the page, right? So all of that is discoverable. And I have definitely had clients in the past. I've had many clients in the past. I hired this SEO company. I'm paying them $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. I have no idea what they're doing. That is ridiculous, right? That is, highway robbery. SEO it's an art and a science, but the art of it is really like copywriting. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not the what keyword are you using. Being able to be a really adept copywriter where you sell something to people and you keep them warm and interested and they read all the way to the bottom. That's an art, right? And not everybody does that very well. So maybe that's something that you wouldn't be able to replicate yourself, but everything else about SEO you should be able to go in and use a tool, many of which are free, and be able to see in a heartbeat what has been done for your SEO. And that's a question worth asking. If you say to someone, help me understand what you worked on in the last month for my $1,500, right, and they say I can't show you, I would fire them, because everything about this should be transparent. Now, SEO takes time. So I have done several case studies, and I tell clients it's an 18-month climb, right? I'm very transparent about that. I don't hide that from people because it's not instant. And then the last thing in the world you want is a client that says, you told me that my SEO was going to, work immediately. That never happens. I mean, never, 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 never. So your SEO is starting someplace, right? You should be able to get a beginning audit to understand what your SEO profile looks like from the start. I audit everybody's website that we work with. My role in the company is that I'm the strategist, right? So, the team members that are kind of doing different pieces of it, I'm directing them based on a strategy that the client and I have worked out together. And my role is to say, this is best practice. This is what the data says. Do you agree? Right? Some clients will say, well, I don't really care that, 1,000 people look for, the service I'm selling in this way. I call it this. And I'll say, well, 10 people a month look for it that way. It's really not quite as good. And they go, I don't care. And I go, great, we're in agreement. You know what I mean? Like, you get to sell you however you want to. So, but everything should be transparent, and you can show using tools everything. So anyone who says it's, some sort of magic and mystery is not real. The 18-month rule, we've proven time and time and time again with clients. And what I mean really specifically about that is, once you have a website that's kind of decluttered from junk. So, if your website was built in 1874, we got to get it up to speed, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be mobile friendly. It's got to be linkable. There's all these kind of things that are a little different. Once we start from that place, it's 18 months, one article a week. You could do more, right? But that's the case study. And that will take a therapist from being completely dependent on insurance to being cash pay. I've done that time and again with people. Like that's a big thing people ask me for, like I have to accept Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare or whatever, because they pay me and I don't have clients otherwise. Well, great. Let's build up your practice so you're getting clients. So that whole practice is about 18 months. When I work with a life coach, it's not all that different, but there are some coaching genres that the public's just not really as interested in. Like divorce coaching. I hate to say this, but this is true. Like divorce coaching is a really niched thing. And when people go through a divorce, depending on their value system, they may already be at the lawyer's office or they may already be at a collaborative sort of mediation process, right? So the person that says it's amicable, we know we want to break up, we're really we're good, we're going to co-parent, we love each other, we've just fallen out of love, like we're going that direction, right? They're never hiring a coach, right? Because they need a mediator to work out the agreement. On the other side, those folks, God love them, that are just hating each other, like they're never going to hire a coach because they need a lawyer, right? So divorce coaching, like that's a kind of interesting niche that has to have some other thing with it to justify what divorce coaches often want to charge. So like that could be grief and loss, it could be co-parenting support. When you start to couple it with other things, it really works. But it's really important in this space of, debunking myths about SEO that you're getting really incredible transparency, people that are willing to spend time with you, because it's a lot of details. It's a lot of stuff that people just don't know. Like you're never going to know this stuff unless you're looking at the tools or you have someone like me translating it for you. So there has to be time in your contract built in for either coaching or consulting, so you're able to get your questions answered. So your goal is the thing, that's the where you're marching towards, and you need a really realistic timeline based on effort put in. So you should get sort of a cheat sheet. This is what this looks like. We're going to accomplish X, Y, and Z. It's going to take us this amount of time. Nobody can really predict how Google is going to reward you, or and they can't predict when Google's going to penalize you, because that happens too. So, but you should be able to see the work being done every single time you ask. And you saw how easy I just pulled that stuff up. It's not hard, right? So anybody that tells you otherwise is probably not the best person to hire.
Not ethically moral, not ethically grounded.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. These are terms that you learn in mental health practice. You literally learn how to say them correctly. Who have you ever fired a client?
Oh, yes.
I knew it.
Yes, sir, I have. People that want magic and they get mad, right? That's an untenable situation, right? So I've also fired clients when, most of it really just comes down to unrealistic expectations, and an unwillingness to be with the timeline. I've also fired a client for being unkind, right? So, I'm at the stage in my career where I like to work with people that I like to spend time with. You know what I mean? So, if you're mean to your waitress, I don't want to be with you. You know what I mean? People are working hard, and, there's no reason to be ugly. So those are usually my criteria. If you're mean to my team, right? If you are unwilling to do your part, I'm fine if you don't want to do your part, if you want to pay us to do that part. But there's no magic in this. This is hard work. And I think that, in the same way I would never say to a therapist, gosh, I came from this crazy traumatic childhood, and you chop, you got 2 hours. The same way I wouldn't do that. I think fair expectations are fair, so those have been the reasons I've fired people.
That's fair. What should someone have when booking a consultation with you? What should someone have prepared and ready to go before setting an appointment up and reaching out to you?
Well, when I do a consultation, if they have a website, I love to look at the website ahead of time. So, like the little Calendly thing, I ask people to send me their website so that I come to the call prepared. I do a complimentary audit of people's websites for anyone that asks. And, I don't always book those clients. Sometimes I'll, do the audit and I'll send it to them, and it's pretty comprehensive. It kind of, gives them a scoring of all the big stuff. Like, how are you doing on mobile? Like, what's your backlink situation look like? Like, it goes through how many pages do you have indexed? Like, what keywords are ranking? Excuse me. So it gives a lot of like details. And if I'm not going to really be able to talk to someone, I'll often make them a Loom video. Like, I think people get SEO more when they can see it. So I'll make them a little video to kind of help them understand what's going on. If they don't have a website and they're just getting started, I tend to want to understand, like, what are they looking for? Like, do you have a direction you want to go in? Do you have a business? And I'm a big believer that second, third careers are supported by first careers, right? So, you'll meet people that are like, oh, well, I was a teacher, but that's not what I'm doing now. No, no, no. The fact that you could teach little people and you had the patience and the stamina and the skills and like, that has a big bearing on how you're going to be with your therapy clients or whomever. So, I just kind of want to know what the direction is. And then I can give them a sense. Sometimes I refer people out. At a client, an inquiry, maybe this is 2 months ago. She was in that boat. She knew she wanted a coaching website. She was certified, credentialed, all that sort of stuff, but she didn't really have a business. Like, she sort of had this like, she wanted to develop YouTube videos that were going to help people as she talked through different stories. And I was like, what are you selling? Like, where's the ROI to justify paying for the website, right? Where's what's the plan? Some people will say, oh, my, Aunt Boo Boo left me, $17 million and I don't care. But that is not the normal thing you'll hear, right? Most people really want a practical, like, if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars building a website, like, it's got to make me money eventually, right? So for her, I referred her to a business coach that would help her create a business plan. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So come up with something, figure out what your starting point is. That's helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You touched on this, and I forgive me, I missed the opportunity to talk on it. We talked about AI, and in
Uh-huh.
this artificial intelligence world, that's the new big thing. That's the new kid on the block, right? What's your take on AI generated content? Does it dilute authenticity or democratize access? What's your touch on AI? Should people be using it for content creation and helping grow their website and their domain
Yeah.
appearance, or you think it's ethical?
So I have a couple answers there.
Sure.
First, the facts. Google has decriminalized AI content. So if you write in ChatGPT and you write articles that way, you're not going to get penalized. And a lot of people ask me, is it legal kind of idea? It's totally fine. Again, back to the attention thing we talked about before, you could write. I have a client who wrote, I'm not kidding you, 500 articles on his website using AI, and they're terrible, right? They're all general and they all have the same, I mean, they're terrible. Nobody's ever going to read them, right? So he went through all this effort to write all these articles thinking he was going to like jump to the front of the class because he had all of this content. And it's just rotten. It's not, no one's going to want to read it because it has no heart to it.
Mhm.
So I have found that if you use an AI tool to write content, you don't save any time, right? You actually end up spending just as much time editing your content as you would if you wrote it yourself. The value for some people of AI is that they get really like analysis paralysis with the blank page. I'll say, I want you to write me an article about, 10 ways to get a good night's sleep. And they sit and they look at it and they go, I don't know what to do, and they waste all this time even just getting started. Chat GPT or Gemini can be a great way to jumpstart you, right? But it isn't your point of view. It doesn't cover your values, your ideal client, and like what you're really all about. So the only people that I know that get great content out of AI are people that train AI to think like them. And the requirement is to have a lot of content that you can give to an AI tool to know what your point of view is. So, and some people do that by, uploading the manuscripts to their last 3 books, right? So imagine that, like, you had 3 books where you covered, point A, point B, and point C of your comprehensive model of what you teach people. and you uploaded all that stuff. And it's really your whole life work. Like it's everything you've ever said to anybody. It's exactly what you do, how you teach. There's a world where you could say, using my content, write me an article that covers this piece that's already included, right? That might work for you. You might be able to move through article generation faster. You're going to end up spending a ton of time editing. It's very, very, very easy to spot AI content now. And I can walk people through this exercise where I'm like, this on CNN was written by AI. This on Fox was written on AI. This
Wow.
on, like, I can show you that fast what's been created. So to some degree, it's up to the consumer what they want to do. Anything that is original to you, you should write. So if you did research, if you have a program, if you have a point of view, if you, whatever it is, you need to write your own stuff. And if you have an audience, you should consider Substack, right? Substack is where people pay $8 a month or $10 a month to read your original long form content. And as a consumer of I mean, I have 3 Substack memberships to 3 different programs where the writers really do put their heart and soul into writing something that's super great, right? Like that health guy that writes, the one super well researched article about sleep. And I'm like, it tells you all the reasons why melatonin is good for you or bad for you, how much, and he's a doctor. I want to read that, right? You're not going to get that from ChatGPT. So the ethics of it come down to everybody's own individual value system and how they use it. And I tend to tell clients, use it with caution because it's really, really tempting once you get it. I mean, it is, have you used it? It is so fast, right? So when you think about how it is to write an article, right? And then you're just like, go write me this article, right? And 30 seconds later, you have it. It's a real tempting thing, but that doesn't make it the right thing.
Absolutely. You're so right. You're so right. She's talking to me, y'all. I feel guilty now. She caught me. She caught me red-handed. I do use. I've especially incorporated artificial intelligence into my podcast, my podcasting because I want to become a better podcaster. Right. And I've heard the top podcasters who have millions and millions of followers, they're using artificial intelligence, they're using AI on their podcast, and I want to be insightful. I want to be a better podcast. I want to ask insightful questions
Yeah.
because to have someone like you on the show, because I've been there, right? I've been on other people's podcasts and it's
Mhm.
garbage.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's like, okay, so introduce yourself.
Yeah.
What?
It's terrible.
You
No.
asked me to be here and
Yeah.
you have you have no clue who I am. You have no okay, like I've been on some really
Yeah, that's a
horrendous
bummer.
podcasts.
I have
So
2 actually. Yeah.
you see?
I have 2. I had a guy yawn one time when I was on the interview, and then he had the audacity to send me the podcast and was like, "Would you promote it?" I was like, "I am not even admitting that I was ever here. Like, I'm not going to promote this." Like, so, but for you, Marcus, one thing AI could do, this is something I'll do for people. I have a handful of clients that are really into YouTube, right? So, they're really, YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world, right? So they're really trying to figure out, like, how do they create really compelling content? So I script this client's YouTube videos, which is just sort of an outline, right? This is what she's going to talk about in her video. So she'll do her video. I'll take the transcript from her video and use that to write an article, right? Because she already said all the words. Do you know what I mean? So things like that, I think, are totally fine to do because ultimately you're putting your spin on it. Podcast, like the version of your podcast that shows up on YouTube has to have a really good description, ideally that has keywords embedded in it, so that when someone is looking for the content of the podcast or the video rather, that they have a clue what to look for, right? They may not know your show name, they may not know your name, right? They may not know who's talking about this particular topic, but in the case of like this one, maybe they're like, is AI ethical to use, right? And they put that in. If you have a show note in there that says you cover that topic, there's a world where you could show up for that, especially if you did a whole show about it. So getting the transcript from YouTube, upload that to chat, use that to generate an article, then you're actually using the words that were said. And I think that's a good thing to do because you give yourself more content with the same content, right? Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. That
Yeah.
makes absolute sense. Go ahead.
No, I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh. You have dropped so many nuggets, so many gems, so much insight, wisdom, years of wisdom, and it shows. And you are absolutely phenomenal, Miss Gorman. You have helped taking, if you guys are watching this, I hope you guys contact her today. Reach out to her. You've shared so many nuggets on this episode. If you had one more nugget in the hat, Miss Gorman, if you had one more nugget to that therapist, that practice, that healer, that coach out there trying to be found on the online space, what would you say to them, that young entrepreneur who's trying to take off and get found? What would you say to them?
So your website is your home, right? It has to look good, right? Your photo of yourself from Glamour Shots has to go, right? You must get a new picture taken. You know what I'm saying? Like, you must, because we all get older and it's perfectly fine. Like, get new photos. Have your husband, wife go out in the backyard and take a picture of you. You can make it work. Your iPhone or your phone is good enough, right? So your website has to be up to snuff, and start now, because none of this gets easier, right? And there's nothing worse than saying, oh my goodness, I should have done this, blah, 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 in the past, right? If you feel like your aspiration for your practice is to be bigger, or to get off insurance, or to serve more people, or to rebrand, or to, distribute yourself or get yourself to new audiences, you have to start now to get that in 18 months. And that's the biggest mistake people make, is they wait until they're perfectly ready. None of us are perfectly ready. Start messy, right? Start messy, make mistakes, get out there, right? You can fix your web page, can be updated and edited. Like, you are not stuck, right? So that is the biggest advice I give to people. And it's a living thing. So you can edit it. If you can edit a Word document, if you can edit a Google Doc, you can learn how to edit a sentence on your website, right? So you're more capable than you think you are.
Absolutely. How can people find you? How can people connect with you? How can people learn more? The train has left the station, but it's not too late for others in the space to get on board. How can people connect?
So my website is crownsvillemedia.com, right? And there is a button at the top where you can schedule a consultation, and I take all those calls, right? So you are more than invited to reach out to me, and I will on your website, I will spend some time with you, even if it's just informational. It helps you understand more of what is going on for you in your online presence, and it gives you a plan for how to move forward, right? So knowledge is power, and I'd be happy to spend time with anybody.
Absolutely. I love this. And for our audio listeners, that's Crownsville, 2Ls, media.com. Check it out. Connect. If you forget nothing else, reach out to me and I will get you to Miss Gorman and her team to help you take your business, your practice to the next level. All right, y'all. That's all we got. We are unfortunately out of time. We have ran out the clock on this one, but incredible. A wealth of knowledge, she's my hero today on the Gentleman Style Podcast today. We got to let her go, y'all. Like we end every show. Take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite host, and the super fragilistic espialidocious Miss Melanie Gorman, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.